Welcome back to the Facebook Lives that are being done on Muddy Paws Crime. These lives are being done for Pet Theft Awareness Week, which is from the 14th of March to the 21st of March. I am Molly Marie.
And I'm Lisa, as most of you know. And today we are introducing you to Michele, who is the missing dog owners of it's Dana, isn't it?
Dana, yeah.
It's Dana. Yes, so of Dana. Thank you very much, Michele, for coming on at such an emotional time.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for letting me do this.
That's okay.
So, can I ask what breed Dana was and age?
Well, Dana's a rescue, and so we're not exactly sure of her breed, but we thought she was maybe a terrier type mix, and possibly looking at other dogs now, we think she might have had maybe a bit of whippet in her. She was very thin, very slight, and they guesstimated her to be her date of birth was January 2014, so when she went missing she would have been about 2.5, and it would make her about 8 now. So, well, just over 8 years old. So she's still, a relatively young dog, really. So, yeah. And sorry, did you say where she went missing?
That was going to be one of our questions after, but no, you can talk freely. You don't. It's not an interview. You talk. If you want to carry on from one thing to the other, please feel free to.
Okay.
It's your time, your voice.
Thank you. So Dana went missing on the 18th of June 2016. What happened was we were planning on being away for a night, so we took her and our other little dog Freddie, who was a Jack Russell, a bit older, to stay at my in-laws, and they live in Langley near Slough. We live in Oxfordshire, so they live about 40 miles away. And Fred was very used to being at my father-in-law's house. He stayed there many times with before we got Dana, with his half brother Bailey, and Dana, we'd taken her up there a couple of times to be with the family, to get her used to being around other family. And Paul had taken her up, and sort of just stayed for an hour or so with a cup of tea and chatting, making sure she was settled, and then left. And Paul's dad had let her and Freddie out in the garden just to sort of mill around, and went to call them back in and couldn't see Dana anywhere. Fred was still there. He was apparently just sitting there, but Dana was nowhere to be seen. And it's a small garden, and it is enclosed. And he searched, and he just sort of like instinct got into his car to see. He assumed she must have got out somehow, because he couldn't see her and she wasn't in the house. So he said he just jumped straight into his car and looked around the area, and he actually saw her like running down the road. So he tried to follow her, and then when he got out to sort of look, he couldn't see her anymore, and that was the last we saw. He saw of her, and we don't know what happened, whether she got spooked, because the garden does back onto. It's got a gate that leads onto a road, but we think she may have tried in a panic to go squeeze under a gap under the gate, because we saw scratch marks. So we don't know whether, like I say, something spooked her, or whether she was just felt panicky because Paul wasn't there anymore, and so that's how she must have got out and then just ran. So yeah.
Was Dana microchipped?
Yeah. Yes, she was microchipped. As soon as we got her, we registered with our local vets, and they microchipped her, and we know it worked because they scanned her to make sure it worked. And I think we had to go back once again, and they scanned the chip, and it was definitely working.
Okay. And do you keep an eye on her microchip at the moment?
Yeah, I do actually, because I was told to keep checking it regularly to make sure that it's still under my own. I'm still the keeper.
Mm-hmm.
We Fred, because she was the rescue that brought her over. Because she's actually, sorry, I didn't say also she's rescued from Serbia. So when they brought her over, they might have them. They microchip her already, or they microchip all the dogs already, and so she was microchipped with Pet Track, and Freddie at the time we had him. He was microchipped as well because became the law, but he was on Pet Log. So we've got two. I've got two, and I would check them both. But yeah, Dana's I definitely check, just because you hear horror stories of things, being somehow somebody did try and find and try and transfer the ownership. So,
Yeah.
I
I
do.
mean, we recommend every missing and stolen dog owner to please check your pet's microchip weekly. There have been glitches in systems, and one of them being a big one that I won't mention. But we do recommend just to make sure your details are up to date. If the dog has gone to the vet and been scanned, unfortunately, with the last live that we just did, proves that even though that dog was scanned, they didn't even contact the owner. So it's so important to just keep a check. I know it's dragging it all up and that, but just check it weekly. I think if they're missing or stolen, you've got the alert on the chip, so you probably can't check online. You will have to call, but it's a call that you might get some been waiting for. And just always make sure your details are up. Even though you keep them up to date, make sure on the system there's been no glitches and they are still up to date.
Yeah.
So,
Both my number and my husband's number are on there, so he's a backup just in case.
that's
and Petlog were quite good about that actually, and they allowed for us to have two numbers on there just in case.
And then going back to when Dana went missing, did you contact the police at all? And if so, did you find them helpful?
We didn't contact the police straight away because she went missing, and we were told the police didn't handle that side of things, and so we contacted the local dog warden, and I contacted the pet log to register as missing. And what we also then, I didn't do this because we had no idea what to do. Nothing like this ever had happened to us. My husband is actually he had Bailey and Freddie, from for years, and I never actually owned a dog until I met my husband, and but nothing like this ever happened. I'd never, I was completely.
You don't expect it to, do you?
Exactly. Totally unaware of the world of stolen and missing dogs. So when it happened, we didn't know what to do. I did contact the rescue to let them know what happened, and because I was in such a panic, and they kindly set a profile for Dana on Dog Lost. So they did that for us, and as I said, we contacted the warden and we contacted the chip company, and then after that we just spent the rest of the time on searching for her physically. So no, the police weren't notified. We did contact them to see if there'd been any accidents recently, or if anybody had reported any animals being caught in accidents, but that was about it initially, to start with, really.
Yeah, like the railways and the highways.
That's it.
Kind of
We notified them because there is a railway, and at the end of the road where Paul's dad lives, there's a lane, and it leads on to the Langley station. So that was one of the first things we also did, was to contact them. We actually went to the station, and they were really good actually, and they let us put posters up there, and they said that they would keep an eye out, but we were never told of anything, like that happening.
Well, God forbid. Anyway.
Yeah, no, I know.
In the comments, Tina Towers has just asked, did you get any media coverage for Dana in local papers or
yes,
TV?
We had in the local, in the Slough Observer, and we also did one in the local Oxford Mail, even though it wasn't it was because we lived there. And also Langley is on a canal, and there's a canal magazine, so they ran a little feature on there for her, because there was a thought, well, could you, in fact, actually the very last sighting we had of Dana was on the canal. The very last sighting that we knew definitely could have been her a month later. It was July 22nd. So we the connection was there with the canal. So again, we put up posters along there, and a lady, was a very lovely lady, offered to take flyers and let all the canal boats people know to keep an eye out as well. So yeah, that was, we did that. I wasn't able, I did try to get on a radio station, but I wasn't able to, just couldn't get on for one reason. I did contact them, but yeah, it was local magazines really. And yeah, there was another local magazine, like one of the freebie magazines that you get put through your door, and they put a flyer as well through. They allow a flyer to be put through in with the magazines. So we did have a lot of help actually and support. People were really quite nice and helpful, really.
Yeah, no, that's good. And like on the flyers or any posters that went out, did you have your phone number on it? Did you get any leads, or unfortunately those horrendous hoax calls?
Yep, all all the posters we had and the flyers had both my mobile and my husband's mobile, and we did get hoax calls. A couple of times it was kids, sometimes they were just adults who were they think it was funny, just to say that they'd found Dana and they had her with them, and then they just start laughing. I had one actually like that, and I really, at the beginning you cling on to every hope, that it could be, this could be, you don't want to dismiss it completely. And there was one, and then they just started laughing at the end, and it was just so cruel, really. And I think they think it's a game, and they don't really understand.
It's just really sickening that people can actually do that, because you're in such a vulnerable situation, and somebody that can do that is just despicable.
There was this TikTok thing that was doing the rounds. It was this time last year, where somebody, and I literally had read about it on Facebook, where somebody was like videoing themselves and looking at a poster of a missing dog, and then ringing the number and asking, is this the number for the missing dog? And of course you'd say yes, because you think, well, could this be a lead? And then they turn around and say, oh, your dog's dead. And then they start laughing. And I'd seen it being put up, and it was literally that afternoon I got a call. It was no caller ID, and it was exactly that. And
really,
I was just so angry. I was absolutely, I shouted at them that, they don't care. They just think it's hilarious. But because it was no caller ID, I couldn't trace it. But I did report it to Dog Lost, and they were apparently happened to a couple of other owners, so they were trying to gather as much information as they could. And they because the person originally, I don't think it was the person who originally put the TikTok up, but there was a lot of copycat ones, you see.
Well, exactly. Yeah, I mean, social media can be good for a lot, but on other things, it's just vile.
Yeah.
The wrong people are watching it and copying. It's just awful.
And we've had texts as well saying, we know who's got your dog. but you have to, you know, if you give us some money, we'll give you more information. And usually they're doing the rounds again. You know, there'll be other owners as well who've had this. And, you know, my first protocol is always to report to dog loss and let them know. And then they gather up what information they can and see if they can trace the person. But the one time we did have a call like that, and this is where the police did get involved, was it was a few months later, not actually that long later. In fact, there were at one point on the posters there was my number, my husband's number, and his stepdaughter's number, because she lovely girl, she helped. She was the one that helped create the Get Dana Home Facebook page, you know, and so all our numbers were on the posters at one point, the early posters, and it was really strange because apparently she got a call, and then Paul got a call, and then I got a call, and I was with Paul at the time, and this guy said, "Oh, I've got your dog, your missing dog. I've got her. We found her," and telling us that she was injured, and so just some brief details. But then he had to ring off, and he said he'd call back later. And the thing is, it didn't sound. There was something about it that just didn't sound quite right. But you know, again, when you get a lead, and you don't want to give up on it completely. So
just in case it is that one,
exactly. And we then spoke to him again, and he said that the thing was that she was injured and they had to take her to a vet, and they spent a lot of money at the vet, but his wife wanted to keep the dog, but he never said to us at the time. He didn't ask for money at the time, but he just kept saying how much they spent at the vets, and I think he was trying to be clever because he didn't want to come over as blackmailing us, and wanted us to offer the money. And we obviously reported it dog lost, and they advised that, you know, just to ask for pictures, ask for more information. If they really had Dana, then, and they were genuine, then they would send pictures. But then he wouldn't. He kept saying, "Oh, I can't send pictures," and, you know, warning bells started to ring. And then he became abusive and nasty, and then wouldn't take our calls. And it was just so upsetting because, you know, this carried on for a few days. But the thing was that when he rang with his number showing. So some friends, you know, they got on the case and did a bit of investigating and found his Facebook profile. And he was local to sort of the Langley area. And so we took that information to the police, and they became a little bit more interested then. And we did get a crime reference number because of that, you know, and they, again, you know, they were all right. They took a lot of information down. They did take it seriously. And one policeman, he was a lovely guy. He then called us and said he was following up and talked to his family, and none of them had seen him in a while. They all said that when they did see him, that he never had any dog with them. So, you know, we knew in the deep down it was a hoax, and that he just wanted money from us. But you know, it's the whole upsetting side of it. It was the anguish. It was the, you know, the fact that they do these kind of things, these people. It's just so that was the one time we had the police involved.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, as well as dog lost, if you're with them, also if you do still get any hoax calls, just inform the police, because you have a crime reference number. Just keep informing the police also, and put it in writing by email, not phone calls. The more you have in writing, the better, in case you need to take it further to complaints if they don't follow what could be a good lead up. Just in the comments, Deb, who is also a stolen dog owner, bless her, was just saying, because obviously she's used to getting hoax calls as well. good tip, always ask for a photo of your dog with a newspaper with today's date on it. They'll put the phone down. Very good tip.
Yeah. No, that's true. I mean, we just asked for photos, but because then you know that exactly that they have that, and if
on that day.
Exactly.
But let's hope that you won't get
No.
any more or too many more. I mean, there was a way round it, hopefully one day we'll think of one. But over to you, Molly.
How has this impacted your daily life and family? The impact it's had.
Well, the world was turned upside down, really. As I said, it was totally oblivious to anything like this happening before. And when Dana we just spent the first few months just travelling to Langley, and looking and giving out flyers and putting up new posters and talking to people and trying to follow up on sightings. And so we did get a few sightings, but unfortunately it was always a day or so after, so we were having to sort of try and retrace steps. And we did things like she was sighted near one field, and so we went and did a barbecue to try and see if maybe she might have been sort of taking shelter near water, that sort of thing, and sort of trying to sort of bring her out. And so we spent a lot of time doing that, and because that's all we could concentrate on. And after a while, of course, the lead, especially after the last one in July, we didn't get so many concrete leads, and things started to go quieter, and it was just getting harder and harder, because all we felt we were doing was just retracing old steps, and didn't seem that we could, there was nothing coming up. And it did get to me. I became more anxious, I worried more, I just became less trusting. Couldn't trust anyone with Fred. I was scared that something would happen to him. And it just became really hard. And I guess I'd had a bit of a mini meltdown, really, sort of a bit of a small breakdown, and everything seemed to come
it's
to a
totally
head.
Understandable, Michelle. I mean, you've got no closure as to what happened that day, where Dana is. If we can, we'll help you to try and get a sort of like a fresh appeal with local press. Somebody, may have taken Dana in and not realised that she was missing, which is, of course, death by finding. But if anybody is watching this, you're not going to get in trouble. Just take Dana to a vet to be scanned. Let Michelle, go and collect her, please. We do realise that some people buy dogs, unaware that they're missing or stolen. But
exactly.
We'll help.
And that's it. That's why, I know that, she went missing, but for me, we think she is a victim, as you say, of theft by finding, and that she may have been taken, found and not reported to the right authorities. And
well, some people don't know what to do.
They're not aware of the legality of what you have to do. So they could have done it in all innocence. They may have thought that she was, because she was still quite thin, that she may have been badly treated, better off. I've read it so many times, better off without the family, but they don't know exactly the circumstances.
Exactly.
So
I mean, people buy rescue dogs in that state, don't they, sometimes? And if they were to go missing a day or two or seen after, it's not you that's neglected the dog, it's the previous owners.
Exactly.
You're picking up the pieces. So so if whoever has Dana is watching this or watches it in the future, what would your message to them be?
Well, just as you say, if you have any doubt or any idea that it may be Dana, or that she may have gone missing or may have originally been stolen and passed on, and you believe that, then just take her into a vet, because that's the one thing you see. The only way now is, if you haven't spotted her on social media, but you have an idea that she may be missing or stolen, then take her to a vet to have her scanned, because she is flagged as missing, and when they scan her and find that she's missing, then they'll be able to contact me. And we just want to know. We just want to know where she is, what has happened to her. It's the not knowing that it gets to you. The feeling that whatever became me. Every day I think about it. I think, where is she? Has she suffered? Is she with somebody being badly treated, or is she with the family happy? The family may not know that she was originally missing.
Yeah, you just need to know, don't you? You need closure either way. It's just, yeah. The theft by finding is, I think it happens more than people realise.
Yeah.
You just need to get the awareness out there. This is what you need to do to find a dog. This is the impact. We're trying to show the impact of on the owners and the extended family of, whether it's theft by finding, missing dogs, stolen dogs, for people to come together and do more and make, the authorities realise laws need to change. Police need to step up and care more. So much needs to be done. There's a lot of groups doing a lot of behind the scenes work, and we're all trying to stop pet theft as much as possible. But,
the more awareness there is, the better. Like I said, I had no idea, and since Dana went missing, so many dogs have been stolen, have gone missing, and passed on. It seems to be growing and growing, and it just breaks my heart, because every time I see another dog that's stolen, the impact it has on their family, and it just brings it all back again. Even after almost 6 years now, it still brings it all back to that day. And and I just know what they're going through, and it's so it breaks your heart. It really does.
It does. And from the outside looking in, we all get so emotional for you, and it's nothing compared to what you're going through. But we all care, and social media does give a lot of support. Lost dog groups give a lot of support. Admins of groups give so much support. Really,
I've had a lot. I mean, I've joined so many groups, and everyone's been so lovely, and coming up with ideas all the time. And I still get messages, and I still get people saying, "Have you tried this?" And I know that there must still be something I haven't thought of. So I welcome anyone who comes up or asks any questions, and I'm more than happy to answer them, or to to try and follow up any leads. I always try, because it helps me to keep going. There's always that bit of hope that one day one of these leads, or one of these little ideas that may seem insignificant, actually could be the one idea that gets Dana home.
Yeah, I mean, this is why we're doing these lives, and even though it's Pet Theft Awareness Week, I think we'll continue doing them, because it's another way of getting the owners to have a voice, and especially the dogs that have been missing for a long time, to get them back into the public eye, because there are so many dogs being stolen every day. So you need to keep them out there, which we're trying to do.
Yeah, well, no,
as many other groups
absolutely grateful to
there's
give
only
me
to be grateful. We all care.
Thank you.
Molly, did you?
So does Dana have any distinctive markings? So if somebody was looking for her, what would tell them that's Dana?
She has a little kind of pink scar on her nose, and she had quite sort of thin, sort of long paws. So it's kind of they were kind of almost spindly. And I don't know. I mean, I think when looking now at other dogs, especially like whippet type dogs, they seem to have those kind of paws. But hers were quite small. And also, when Dana was found, she was suffering from mange, which the people who found her in Serbia and looked after her were wonderful, and they were fine. But she always retained a little bit of patchy sort of fur on her back, on her sort of side. So one of the pictures on the Get Dana homepage, you can see that it's 6 years down the line, and I don't know, that could have changed, but it's that's from when we had her, so it's difficult to know. I she may have changed a lot. I don't know, but
Okay, so for if anybody has any information on Dana or has Dana, what is the best way to contact you, Michele?
Well, she has a Facebook group, as I said. It's called Get Dana Home.
Just going to try and show that on here.
And also there is a number you can call. My mobile is still on there. And yes, that's great. And she we've also set up a Twitter account and an Instagram account, and they're all got Get Dana Home. So if you search for Get Dana Home on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, you'll find her pages or her groups.
Yeah, thank you, Joe Arnold. Also in the comments has put the Twitter at Get Dana Home. So we'll end there, but thank you so much, Michele. You've been really brave coming on. We know, it brings everything to the forefront again, but it's just so important for you to have the voice for yourself and Dana. We hope and pray that these lives do create some kind of information for you, and we'll keep on going. We'll have a little chat after as well, after the broadcast has ended. Is there anything else you want to say at this point? If you can't now, just pop it into the comments for people to see after.
I was just also going to say about the scanning vets, to follow the campaign that's been run or been sort of fought by Debbie Matthews, is to make the scanning of pets compulsory or a legal requirement by vets. I think that's really important, because I think for me that's the hope that I have, that somebody will take Dana in, and it may be somebody who's had her for a while, or but has been to the vets, but they've never scanned her. And look up Fern's Law, because they've teamed up with the family of a spaniel called Fern, who went missing and was found 6 years later because she was scanned, but they believe she could have been scanned a lot sooner. So that try and look that up, but follow the campaign for that, because I think that's also a way forward that the government can do, to help.
I mean, vets should be scanning, but what we then have to hope is that the vets actually contact the owners.
That's true. They need to follow up, of course.
We do have a live tomorrow with a company called Smart Snout, who have created an app. Unfortunately, and I hate bringing it up, that microchips can be, removed or damaged. Smart Snout app is actually the dog's nose, so they can't change a dog's nose. But if you watch a live tomorrow,
I will.
We'll join up.
And that sounds good.
So again, thank you so much. Thank you everybody for any information. Please get hold of Michele, her group Find Dana, which we've shown you. Get Dana Home, apologies. Also on Twitter. Any information as well you can put confidentially through Muddy Paws Crime, which we will pass on to Michele.
Thank you.
So thank you again. And we'll be back tomorrow with some more lives.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Molly. Bye-bye.